Oh, there we are. Welcome, everybody. We are back in the seat once again, Jason and Wyatt.
Finally.
Yes, we apologize. We've had a couple different setbacks, so to speak, mostly family and the holiday coming in. But it's all good. How are things on your end, Jason?
Pretty well, yes. My sister-in-law had a baby, so we had several extended family members and several dogs in our house for several days. But
Hotel a la Jason, right?
right. But we're through it now, and Mama and baby are home, so
That's good.
ready to get back into the podcasting groove. Although we did do one for my site while we were, right before all that went down. And I put a link up over on Facebook while we were waiting to do this chat. And that was pretty fun, talking about Knight Rider.
Yeah, you kind of hooked me. And at first, I remember when you asked about it, I'm thinking, cool. I'm thinking he was going to do a solo review at first. He didn't say he invited me, nothing. So I'm thinking, cool, no problem. He's going to go solo. And then the next text, he says, oh, no, you got a review with me. I need your input. I'm like, score. Here we go. So yeah, that was a really fun podcast. It was classic podcast, is but the best way to put it, since we Skyped it up podcast, not this Hangout style that we've migrated to. But it was all fun.
It had been about 6 months since I've been on Skype, just because we've been using this Google Hangouts, and it's been fun and all, but it was weird trying to get back into the groove on Skype and record and go through all that over there instead of on Google Hangouts. But yeah, it was a neat opportunity to, in case people watching and listening haven't checked it out, we reviewed the first comic book from the Knight Rider series, and it was really cool, through Lion Forge Comics. And then we basically went through the history of Knight Rider and our experiences and stuff. We forgot to talk about our little rendezvous with Kit. Was it last summer?
True. Spring, really. But yeah.
Yeah.
Not this past, but the one prior, 2014.
That was a real fun adventure, seeing some famous cars and stuff. And I found the museum. I'm telling you, the museum, if you are into like Hollywood vehicles. It's in Jackson, Tennessee, which is west of Memphis. And this dude, he literally has them all, man. Kit, the DeLorean, the General, the A-Team van, the Batmobile. I mean, any vehicle you can think of, Starsky and Hutch, Ecto One. He's got them all in this little museum, and it seems like it's in the middle of nowhere. But, that is
probably a smart thing.
You're right. The only thing he doesn't have is a Thunderhawk. You need to somehow.
Well, I put the plug in here not too long ago with our friend there, that when we rendezvoused with Kit and the Batmobile and Bumblebee from the newer Transformers series and all that. I did put a bug in, AKA Junk's ear, about Thunderhawk. I gave him all types of pictures that I had and could scare up on the internet. And he said it would be pretty cool. I haven't seen anything of it. I know we spoke about it some time ago, but I said we don't have the coin to go be purchasing anything like this, but this is what we would like to do. However, just his recent thing that he's put together is a Lightning McQueen. He took a Dodge Stealth and put a fiberglass smiley face on it from like McQueen and painted up the windshield just like with eyeballs. And I don't know if you
Yeah.
can actually see through the windshield by any means, but it is a Lightning McQueen. It's pretty good replica. I was
Yeah.
impressed.
I saw it, and it's actually gone to that museum that I was
Yeah.
talking about. And I think that's where the mater is too. So he's going to have both of those for that museum. I got to get there. Got to get
Yeah,
there.
me too.
Next
Road
time you
trip.
come down, yeah, it's going to be a heck of a trip. It's probably a good 5 or 6 hours from where I'm at in Alabama, but
We'll have to.
we'll figure something out. But
Yeah, we'll just have to hitch a ride with one guy from the John Candy movie, uh, 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 Armed and Dangerous, where he goes, "Let's see how fast this son of a gun to go," in that truck hauling rocket fuel.
Armed and Dangerous. Wow.
But
All right.
anyway, yeah, let's go ahead and start our show. Uh, since we've postponed it long enough, we want to get our
Right.
fans involved and see where we can take this. And last time, our last mass chat, I kind of came up with the idea of the dashboard, what the interiors of the cars were like. And I know Jason and I kind of brainstormed for another chat, and he came out with this new topic, which we were probably going to talk about anyway. It's M.A.S.K, obviously, but it's on the split seconds vehicles toy line. So we wanted to get your impression, you the audience, to see um, what you thought, and we'll get to the comments later on in the show. And there's quite a bit more interest, or at least more interaction with this topic than our episode reviews that we've been doing.
Yeah. Yeah, we've got some pretty good comments, and it's it's kind of a mystery, this whole
It
split
is.
second series. And um, you think about it and how there's no real basis behind it, and it was almost like Kenner was trying to squeeze every little drop of mask left after the cartoon was canceled. um, and it just remains a mystery. We don't know much about it, but yeah, I mean, I was just thinking about something we could chat about in this split second series. It's just always intrigued me. I've collected several of the vehicles, and I didn't really want to go into tonight like breaking down each vehicle one by one. I think we'll save that for an actual MASKast where we can get maybe Bill on the line and get his 2 cents, since I believe he's got them all. I've got probably about 75% of the vehicles, but there's no real information. At least I've never found any information out there on the origin of the toy line and why Kenner kind of deviated from the original concept, at least in my opinion, again. And we've got these vehicles that are essentially 2-in-1. Each one has their own like air vehicle and one on the ground that it splits into. And that's what we just wanted to discuss. Maybe some theories and just some insight into some of the collectors out there about this toy line, and where Kenner might have been going with it, at the time. So I did a blog post, and I did shared up on Facebook about it, and we've got several comments. But I posed a few questions, and I guess let me get your take on them, Wyatt. We'll go through each one, and then we'll get to what our fellow fans had to say. But the split second series each came with two figures. One
Right.
was of the agent, and they had what they call a clone, which was almost holographic. It was like see-through. This looks like it was made out of Jello or something,
Probably.
different different colors and such. And that was one of the questions I posed was what was the purpose of the clones? And trying to think of, well, were they controlled by the agents, or were they somehow their like own artificial intelligence or something? Why are they only shown, flying in the vehicles on the box art? So that was a couple of things I threw out there about that. And, just for me, the main question that always kind of stuck in my mind was, all right, so if the agents do control these clones and they're flying their own vehicles. Yes? No.
She's in the crate.
Okay.
I couldn't find her.
Welcome to live TV. Looking for the dog.
Could be worse. Could be looking for the baby.
Anyway, where was I? Okay, so you're driving this vehicle on the ground, but you're still controlling a clone that's in a vehicle flying above. How can you focus?
Yeah, really.
That was my thought about it. What say you?
Well, I don't know too much about this. The purpose of the clone, I would think, the title implies, he clones you or the driver to do your mission. But reading up what little I can find, Albert Pineo wrote up a little snippet on
Mm-hmm.
his where it says that um, the each set came with a driver and a mask that called their splitting image to drive the second vehicle. Um, in the box art, like you had shown that it was the clone that typically flew, because I think most of these were flying, uh, had a ground and an air
Mm-hmm.
type uh, vehicles. Uh, I don't know how you would control it unless you're like RoboCop. I don't know how you would control two things at once. I would think it would actually be uh, slightly more of an advantage to go and do if the agent was flying and the clone was on the ground and it mimicked your movement as you
Right.
flew. That makes a little more sense. Not a lot, because the pilot would have to mimic, follow the road or follow the course.
Yeah.
Let's lay it out, because if you're up there dogfighting it out with whomever, you make a quick left. Guess what? The guy who was on the ground is probably in the trees or down a cliff or something like
Right.
that. So it doesn't, and maybe that's why there was never a cartoon for this, because they couldn't figure out how to,
Incorporate the clones. Yeah.
well, to even realistically somewhat incorporate that, like you say, to make it halfway legitimate. They'd have to be an AI, or yeah, that's
Yeah.
really an AI of some sort.
Yeah. Or I think at one point maybe even somebody said in one of the comments, which we'll get to, about maybe it's controlled by the M.A.S.K computer or something, from a
There's
distance.
that possibility, I guess.
But the way Brad Turner, I think of clones, I think of like a hologram, and he usually used that more as a diversion or
Correct.
to trick somebody, or oh, he's over here, but I'm actually over here, and
Right.
it just wouldn't work. That kind of thinking, when you're talking about the agent and then the clone figure, which now this kind of led into the second question I posed about the two vehicles that parted. Throughout the series, we've always had the regular mode. Well, at least the first two series, it was like the regular car and then defense mode that
Right.
they changed into, and then we get into the racing series. Oh, yeah, there was a couple vehicles that had two parts. You think of Goliath, it was that kind of platform, and then Matt had the race car that flew off of the back of it. You had the Buzzard race car with Miles and Maximus that kind of split off, and then it actually had three. It had like a third jet that was, I think, unmanned or whatever. It was just controlled by one of them. So there was a few vehicles in there in the racing series, but every single one of these split into two parts, and it just naturally kind of led to me, well, why are they using the clones instead of just having two agents? They could have.
That's a very good question.
They could have made the vehicle kind of like they did in some of the racing toy line, where there are two agents, Volcano and Goliath, and
even Rhino was a two.
And Rhino, yeah.
So, and you could have had, I can't remember if it came with two agents or not.
It did.
But
yeah, it came with Matt in the Ultra Flash, and it came with Bruce Sato.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, they'd done it before. I just don't understand why. And somebody made the point that we'll get to as well, that there's no new agents in this toy line. So, that would lead me to believe that they were just trying to squeeze as much as they could out of this, trying to come up with something and get it out, to the public, rather than trying to build another cartoon around it to, do that. And they're just using existing agents.
And could easily be. I like the idea that there are a split vehicle. There's two options. If they would have done, like you said, a two agent versus a clone, I think it would have been more feasible and probably even a better setup for another cartoon.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, other than that, it seems like that was they were just, I would almost say, grasping at straws, market wise, to get as much, like you said, out of the Mask franchise as possible before it's time to go.
Right. And then a few more things we'll go through that I kind of came up with. Some things that I've noticed when thinking about split seconds. There was a little bit of difference in some of the vehicle names, and we got this, I think, in the racing series as well, where there was a USA version, like Barracuda. It was changed to Jackal for the European release, and then the European boxes didn't use the split seconds logo at all, which was kind of weird to me. So it was almost like, well, maybe they were trying to come up with some kind of new concept and pitch it in America, where the cartoon was produced. Maybe they were trying to develop something, and then by the time they got to the European release, they were like, it's not going to happen, and just slap the M.A.S.K logo back on there and release it to Europe.
Right.
So that was another little thing there that really much more into that. But and then go back to the agents that we were talking about. It seemed like there was more, and I would call them like second tier agents used, instead of some of the originals, like Brad Turner and Sly Rax. They did use, obviously, they had to have Matt Tracker and Miles Mayhem, but it seemed like these vehicles used those agents that we haven't really even got to in our review on MASKast.
Right.
I mean, Bruce Sato was in there, but like Bruno and Gloria. That's another one too. Here we are. Gloria finally gets a vehicle. It's not Shark. She doesn't even get a quote unquote aura mask. They can't remember what they call it in this series. It's something different, like Collider or something maybe. But it kind of looks like Aura. But why? Poor Gloria, she's pretty much one of the main characters throughout the whole series up through, well, at least the first season, and she's almost like an afterthought.
Yeah.
And wasn't really any, I don't know. Didn't seem to me like there's any originality with the name. I mean, they named the vehicle Stiletto. Well, that was Sly Rack's. That was his mask.
Right.
I don't know. That always baffled me. I know it baffles a lot of people that really wanted Shark. I put up a poll a while back on Facebook, and I put the question was, which would you have rather had been produced in the M.A.S.K toys, Shark or a Venom base or a playset? And Shark blew it out of the water. It was like 80% to 20%.
Right.
So, a lot of people are, I think, baffled at that.
Right.
Get Shark. And then just a couple other things, we already kind of discussed this. Was there a plan for a new cartoon or comic? And another thing I've noticed too, if you go on YouTube and you're looking for TV commercials or videos, on the toys, there was no real advertising campaign for Split Seconds.
Really?
No, there was no commercials that I could ever find. I don't, it's hard for me to remember 30 years ago, but yeah, if you go search for a M.A.S.K TV commercial or whatever on YouTube, you're not going to find anything on Split Seconds. There's only a few like toy catalogs really that I've found from Kenner that are actually kind of showing the vehicles, but those are more geared toward, the store owners and such back then, where Kenner's like, all right, here's what we got coming out. Get ready to get your, store stocked up.
Right.
And there was no real pitch to the kids. It's almost like, oh, these appeared on the toy shelves one day, and wow, this is cool. Maybe that's why it,
It floundered. It didn't go
it
anywhere.
kind of faded away because they didn't really push it, at least that I could find. And then the final little mystery with Split Seconds is the two vehicles we know that were never produced, but we've seen, I think, over on Albert Pineo, and I know up on Matt Tracker and BoulderHill.net, they both have pictures of Thunderball and Ramp Up, which someone noted as I'm going through the comments that these look more like something out of the racing series anyway, that might have carried over or something and just never were produced. But that's another mystery, because if you even look in the photos that I put up on the post, which is actually from one of the Kenner catalogs, it's got an advertisement for Thunderball, and there's no real picture of what I would call the main vehicle, Matt Tracker's vehicle, Skybolt, on the poster. So,
but it's coming in the spring of '88.
Right. So that was interesting too, because it seems like, this Thunderball and Ramp Up, they're both right there.
Right.
It was like they're planning to come out, but for some reason, they were never made. Maybe it was just because they look kind of crappy. They don't really, they're not a vehicle of sorts. Thunderball is like a billboard blast, with Dusty in there that opens up and shoots a little missile, and it looks like I don't remember which figure it was, if it was Cliff Dagger with that one. And he's kind of encapsulated in this water tower or something. I don't know.
Right.
And Ramp Up, I don't know what in the world that was supposed to be, other than some kind of obviously a ramp.
Well, the only thing I can come up with the ramp up is it would be very feasible with the Boulder Hill gas station because every now and then you'd see Buddy working under a car. That could double as one of the weapons for Boulder Hill. Um, but it's not movable, so it's one of those where do you use that outside to work on a car,
Right.
or because you can't do it use it inside and blast out because then you open the door or your shield, and it kind of defeats the purpose of having Boulder Hill transform into its defense mode.
Yeah. I think it
Otherwise, I don't
was.
know what it would be great for. Like you said, there's no wheels. It's not a
Yeah.
car of any type. So
It
yeah,
is Hondo. It is Honda. That's so we know it's a mask on the
yeah.
mask side. So that's weird.
And that's what I was looking at on your poster here that you have up. There's a lot more mask vehicles than there are Venom. I think I counted one, two, three, four Venom and like 6 or 7 mask vehicles. So even
uh,
it was. I mean, we know that Venom seems to always be the underdog, but it was it was like they were really pushing for the mask good guy
yeah,
side here rather than at least give Venom a little bit of a fair fight.
yeah. Well, let's pause for a second. We got a question from Philip, and we appreciate Philip. He's one of our faithful watchers and listeners. And he posed the question: are you more used to the good and evil aspect of the Mask brand than the whole racing bit? Well, for me personally, I'm definitely into the, I guess what you would call the first season of Mask and that whole, what I want to say, like as a
Aaron,
concept.
right.
Yeah. Um, that's Mask to me. The racing series, it lasted 10 episodes, and I have watched a couple episodes just as I would, been doing research and stuff for, well, those videos I put together too of Vanessa and Rax. I've watched a couple episodes of the racing series, and it's different to me. I wouldn't say it's bad, but it's not the typical, Mask that we know and that was run for over the course of a year and longer. I think I don't know if the season 2 episodes ever got back into syndication. That would be something I'd be interested in, because we
Right.
know that the Mask series started in, I believe it was in October of '85, and then I think it was the following September or October in '86 is when the racing series debuted. But of course, Mask lasted a lot longer than that on television.
Right.
I don't know. What are your thoughts as far as the whole really the battle versus Mask and Venom versus this whole racing concept where they're not necessarily, I mean, they're battling each other, but not as almost a good versus evil way.
I haven't watched the racing series. I don't think I even watched it as a kid, so I can't speak on it. Not yet. Eventually, we'll get there in our
We
episode
will.
rundown. But I would have to defer to that I do like the good versus evil. I like the battling. I like this tug of war that goes on uh, that they seem to display with Mask and Venom. Um,
It aligns
yeah,
more with the '80s cartoons in
right. Because he
most
always
of
had like the Autobots and Decepticons, GI Joe
right.
versus Cobra. It really fell in line with that. So I don't know what that racing series, if that was an attempt to try something, a new concept, or kind of pull out of the mold that was going on in the 80s. I don't know what that was.
Yeah, there was always two factions, no matter what show you're watching: Masters of the Universe, Thundercats, Silverhawks. I mean, excuse me, there's always those good versus evil struggle. And, like I said, was the racing series a bad concept? Probably not, but it just did not work for what everyone was used to watching cartoons back then. And it's probably why it only got 10 episodes. I would like to learn a little bit of the history on that, why it only got 10. It's a strange number. Usually even startup series, you'll see it's usually 13, I think is the number. And then I don't know. It's just weird that you only got 10. Why stop at 10? Was there only enough material to last for the 10? Or did they just say, this isn't going to work, and they just chopped it, I don't think there's any kind of resolution in the very last episode. I don't know if I've ever actually watched it that I remember of the racing series, but I don't know. It's interesting. I'd like to hear some opinions from some other people as well, because obviously there were some great vehicles, and they marketed the crap out of it. There's, tons of commercials out there for the racing series, and the one that sticks out in my mind is the Matt's race car, coming down, and how those tires kind of rotate out and land right in front of you in the commercial. That's a lasting image there. But yeah, we'll just I guess we'll kind of end it there, but because we could go another chat, about the racing series as well. But let's move on, and this is what I like about the chats, because we can stop and interrupt, and we can go down the bunny trails and stuff. But there's a couple people that commented in detail, in length, on the website and on Facebook, and one of them was Peter Cyperda. If I'm butchering the name, I apologize, Peter. But he's in talking about the points that I brought up, and he goes into about the clones. He thinks it's because of the nature of the transformations of the splitting vehicles as to why they had the clones, and why the box art is the other way around is beyond me. It's just not logical. I guess referring to, why the clone is in the air and the agent's on the ground. As far as the two-part vehicles, he says, I think it's just simple. Kenner wanted to try something new to keep the kids interested in M.A.S.K, but I think it's just ironic. In my opinion, they would do just fine with a new line of normal vehicles. Even back in the day, split seconds never had the same appeal as the classic vehicles. And yeah, I would tend to agree with that. I mean, there was some cool ones in split seconds. Yeah. Because you had some, they had some licensing done. We know that. Right. You had the Corvette, 63 Corvette. You had the Pontiac Fiero and the Lamborghini. You had the Volkswagen Beetle. There's another one in there that were, in that poster, it shows the licensing. Maybe it's not this poster, but there's one of the other catalogs. It actually talks about this is licensed from Volkswagen, whatever. Right. So that's interesting to me, that they would, unless they already had that under their belt and wanted to just, use these licenses from GM and could be Volkswagen or whatever, and just come up with those vehicles. So, to me, they're cool. I don't remember, walking down the toy aisle as a kid and, encountering them for the first time. But I don't know. What do you think about the licensing? Isn't that kind of strange?
Yeah, because I know that I know that they do have to get, of course, permission to do any type of uh, use of a vehicle like the Thunderhawk with the Chevy Camaro and so forth. They would have had to have done. They would have had to have something in their plans that were to get that license to be able to produce these toys. And that maybe it was one of those where they had a, I'll say, a bundle of licenses already,
Right.
you know, from day one, and they only did so many per what we call seasons, but for each toy line, and they never got to those last few. And they're like, you know what? Instead of just sitting on these licenses and not doing anything with them, let's make them some toys and see if it grabs hold, like we've discussed. Do we want to see if we can spin out a new series out of it, or see if the toy line can kind of live on its own?
Right.
It could have been just the last, who knows? It could have been something that, a sales guy or marketer came in at the last second and said, "Hey, I got these licenses. Let's make some toys," and boom, we get what we got. I don't know. That's the one thing I wish we could find out, and maybe we can try to do some research with Kenner, like the original Kenner people that were on the mask side of things, to see what their plan was. If we could
Yeah.
find maybe some of the writers from the Mask series, maybe we that would give us some insight if they were just spitting out scripts all day long and didn't name anything after, I would call it the racing series era. Maybe they had something in the works and they were going to change the names, after the 10, but the 10 episodes kind of was it's done.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's really hard to. I mean, we like you said, we can theorize all day long, but fact is, we just need to get a hold of someone from Kenner, one of the
Yeah.
writers, and say, "Hey, what was the deal? What were you thinking or not thinking? Sit down, chat with us." And that's an invitation. If you're happen to be watching, you know, call in, hang out, whatever, email, and let us know. So
Operators are standing by.
just wait. Just don't let Jason call the 800 number to PBS. Yes, that's never going to die.
Oh, the pranksters we were as kids.
That was primarily you. I was just the
Okay, me. It was me.
yeah, I was in the getaway car.
Um, well, when you were talking about that, I was thinking too when we talked to Doug, and he talked about Brian George that came on board with them for the racing series, and that's another thing that just kind of baffles me that they were hiring new voice actors, for the racing series. So they were revving up, they were gearing up to push Mask through, to the next for the next season, the next level, and
That's the thing we
this,
don't know. Maybe there was something on financing. Maybe they're financing, or they saw something in the market going, hey, we're starting to take a dip. Let's just cut our losses now before we lose everything.
yeah,
We really don't know. Um, why?
yeah,
Like
it's
you said,
just
it did sound like they were trying to ramp up at least.
right. It just it bugs me that just for I think you hit the nail on the head there with they probably had these licenses for the vehicles and maybe they were had a time limit or something and they were just like, okay, well let's just use what we got and that'll be the next line of toys.
Right.
uh, it's just, I don't know, it's crazy. um, let's I'll just continue on with Peter's comments here and then we'll get on to the next person. He, in reference to the agents, He says, I think it's a nice balance from Tier 1 and Tier 2 agents, but I'd love to see some new agents. Be a nice twist to see a former Mask or Venom agent on the other side. Now,
That'd be
that
kind of
was cool.
interesting.
That would, yeah.
Because we saw that
Uh,
in Transformers. Like one of the first few episodes, they had a guy that made a choice
yeah.
to move from Decepticon to Autobot.
Um,
So that would have been a great thing to see.
Jet.
Like, yeah,
Jetfire.
yeah,
Was his name.
Jetfire. So it'd be kind of cool to see like Dagger, get tired of being called stupid and go over
Yeah.
to the Mask side of things. That would have been neat.
Yeah. Peter also says about the media not having much advertising. He says, I'm curious about that too, especially a cartoon. Was it in development? How far? Did they have storyboards or a backstory? Someone should know something. That's what we're hoping somebody does. We'll get to. We've come up on little nuggets like that. I've seen portfolios go across on eBay for the original concepts and storyboards and stuff. And one of the other sites I put up a post about some of the original drawings and coloring and such. And there's got to be some stuff out there somewhere that maybe somebody has tucked away that could shed some light on this a little bit.
That'd be great. Maybe
And then
someone has a recording of Doug Stone and gang doing a recording session like I had stumbled upon with Thundercats.
yes, that would be cool. I'd like to find more of those actually. I saw one of Garfield and Friends, which was pretty funny.
Oh yeah,
It's out there on YouTube. But yeah, those kind of behind the scenes little videos are fun to watch.
yeah.
And how the shows were actually made and the recording and everything. That would be cool if that would come up. We could see Doug and Sharon and Brennan and everybody in action. That would be really cool. And then just to finish out Peter's comment about Thunderball and Ramp Up, they were the oddballs in this whole lineup. Even if there was a cartoon, in my opinion, they would have felt out of place in the whole Split Seconds theme. They should have been released with the racing series. Yeah. So he says a hypothetical second tier racing series. So that's where I read that before. But yeah, thanks to Peter for leaving a really detailed comment there. And we've got several more to get through. You want to take the next one?
Yeah, I'm kind of doing a Google IMDb search because he says Mark Lungo says, has anyone noticed how many of the vehicle names were recycled from Centurions?
No,
So I'm trying to look
I actually have it because I did the little research myself. They did use the names Detonator and Skybolt in the Centurion vehicles.
Okay.
And there's also one that was called Hornet, which was later used for M.A.S.K Laser Command, which really wasn't a part of Split Seconds or really anything. That was that one with the blue firecracker-looking truck, and then the crate that turned into a jet, and that had it was like the light. They could interact with each other, and you could shoot light at the other one, and it would seemingly blow up.
Right.
It was kind of like the Thundercats layer that I had as a kid, the electronic one, where you could shoot. You had the mutants on this little vehicle, and you were up there on the cat's head, on Cat's layer, and it had a little light beam. You could shoot down, and you could hit. If you hit the vehicle, something would, fly off or something. So you would win, and then if the vehicle hit Cat's layer, it did something. I don't know if the doors opened or I can't remember. It's been so long, but anyway, so it did seem like Kenner kind of recycled a few of the names from Centurions because Centurions came out in '86. and we know Split Seconds came out 87, 88 in that range. So maybe they did recycle a few names. That was a pretty good point.
Right.
Uh,
Then we have Christopher Kent commented.
yeah, he said, I always assumed the clones were controlled by the agents, like the high-tech equivalent of Multiple Man from X-Men. And I'll have to defer to somebody else because I really never got into X-Men.
Same here. I mean, I've
So
watched the somewhat recent movies,
reference.
but that's it. So yeah, I don't know.
Oh, we got another question here from Philip. Let's take that while we're in the middle. Have you done anything special for the 30th anniversary of M.A.S.K? I did hang my calendar. I found out early last year that there was an insert that came with, I think it was the Series 2 toys, that had a calendar from 1987, and on the flip side was 1988. And 1987 actually fits perfectly with 2015. So you can hang up your M.A.S.K calendar this year and actually use it. So I guess I did that. I don't know.
Perhaps he's referring to us as a collective of agents of M.A.S.K. if we are going to do anything or have done anything special for this year. I know that we're working with a lot of our partners, referring to Eric at boulderhill.net and
Bill.
Bill over at matttracker.com and such, but we haven't, nothing concrete has kind of festered. I know that myself and Bill Ferries are going to RetroCon in September I know it's not exactly Philadelphia, but it's in Pennsylvania. We're going to go there, and I think, and I'm still going to have to double check with him, but I think we're going to do basically a walking tour, video cam type of thing. It won't be live. I haven't been able to find a good source to pull off live yet, although we have some cool stuff at work. I don't know that I'm going to be able to borrow these X $100,000 pieces of equipment for free and be able to use the cell phone. But anyway, it's that's what we plan to do. I'm going to be taking up Jason's truckload of stuff to be signed by Doug Stone.
Just the poster. I've had an idea. Well, I've had a couple ideas because our M.A.S.K Day, which we celebrated for the first time last year, is actually in September. I want to say it's like the 16th or something. It might actually be during that weekend when the actual anniversary was when the cartoon debuted. The ideas that I've had, I wanted to do a T-shirt, and just depends on the funding and if people will get behind it. Maybe we could mass produce a T-shirt commemorating the 30th. Something like the Bring Back M.A.S.K or We Want MASK.com site,
Right.
and trying to get people, aware that we want it to come back, and give some of those away maybe to some people that are going to attend RetroCon, get some people's attention. So that was one idea. If that doesn't happen, I do want Wyatt to print out some brochures for you, whether you get a table or not, and maybe we can work it out to where we can, wherever Doug's going to be, we can get him on his table just for free. That essentially highlights our site and the trio of sites, really,
Right.
Agents of M.A.S.K and matttracker.com, boulderhill.net, and then possibly on the back side also have the We Want M.A.S.K information, and maybe a little history of Mask and a quick little pitch or something on there to, if somebody would pick it up and see it, would get their attention to maybe look into it. Obviously we got a movie script. A lot of people have got movie scripts, it seems now, for Mask, and the interest is there. So I want something maybe just to give away to essentially for the 30th anniversary, but also to promote it, So I do definitely want to do that for you guys when you're there, and print up a few hundred to give away and keep people interested. So
Right.
that was kind of the behind the scenes that I just brought to the forefront. So I'm gonna have to come through on one of those now, I guess. But you know, there's numerous other things that I've kind of jotted down in my notes that would be fun to do for Mask Day, and I still want to get some more voice actors on MASKast. I think that would be fun.
That'd be awesome.
I'm friends with a couple on Facebook, but I haven't been able to reach out to them and set up a time or anything. So we'll keep our fingers crossed on that, because that would be fun to get their reaction like we did with Doug Stone, especially on the 30th anniversary, and how Mask is still here.
That's
hasn't
right.
faded off into the distance. It'd be fun to get their reactions. So, are you, other than what we've mentioned, were you planning?
Like you, I've had some brainstorm ideas, and we've talked off and on and offline. But I was in the line of thinking like doing some T-shirts, even if it's just like for Bill and me to carry around, and hey, support. We want
Mhm.
Mask. But I wanted to see us do kind of a support thing, perhaps even a GoFundMe uh, thing where we can, hey, you get a free T-shirt if you throw in $5, $10 or whatever, and see what we can do with this We Want Mask uh, effort, and see where it goes from there. The brochure thing, I think that'd be a good idea. I don't think we're going to do a table. Uh, I just don't think between Bill and I we pull off a table well. So I think we're just going to walk the place and be regular old fans and do a little.
Yeah, just
Uh,
pass them out or whatever.
right.
And if you spot somebody with a Mask shirt on or something, maybe I'll print out a few more of those little mini posters or something you can give
And
them.
maybe that's what we can do is, eh, eh, you know, we're brainstorming here, brainstorming live. So take this for as it is. Maybe that's something we can do is put together, like you said, a poster or T-shirt or something. Uh, and if we see someone with a Mask shirt of some sort, hey, here's your prize. Go see Doug Stone. Maybe he'll sign it for you or something along that line.
Occupy RetroCon,
There
Mask
you
fans.
go.
Well, we don't want to go overboard, but at the same time, yeah, it would be fun to have, especially with Doug being there. It would be nice to have some other noise, peripheral to him, as far as us being there and being recognized. I think Bill is actually going to introduce him, so he might be actually moderating the panel, because it's going to be Doug, and they've got Mr. Kinney. I can't remember his first name. That was Lion-O from the Thundercats.
Oh wow, yeah.
They've got, I want to say they've got the guy that did Duke on G.I. Joe.
Oh yeah, Michael Bell.
Yeah, Michael Bell. I've seen some
Michael
names
Bell.
pop up.
Michael Bell. I got to do it. I got to do the Google. Um, but I think Michael Bell. The reason I notice him not because of GI Joe. I think it's actually, and I will confirm my theory, is I think he played the voice of um, uh, Lance on Voltron.
It's
I think
possible.
that's I'm I was right. Ha, one for me. That's him. He was Lance, and of course he played Vance before he um, they killed him off in the series.
Hmm.
But yeah, I thought I was right. But yeah,
Well,
that's why I would go to see him. I could care less about GI Joe. I want to see him for being Lance, the Red Lion.
yeah. Well, to kind of wrap up Philip's question,
Yeah,
if you're looking to do something for Mask's 30th, that would be an excellent if you're in the area for RetroCon to support Doug. That's going to be his first convention, and he's going to be a part of that panel of voice actors, which ought to be really fun. And he'll have a signing session and stuff there, but to essentially support him and to make him feel comfortable and to also at the same time celebrate the 30th.
right.
And that'd be a great opportunity for any Mask fan to be to RetroCon and do that. So you want to get back to some more comments here
Yeah,
on
we
the
we went on a bunny trail once again.
well, we've got a couple more, and then uh, one of our fans named the Arbitrator. He just went into detail on pretty much every vehicle in the comments, and we appreciate that. I mean, it took some time. I think he ended up making like 4 or 5 comments, but excuse me. We'll go ahead and get through a couple, and then there's a little summary that he posted that kind of wrapped up what he thought about the series. So
I'll
let's just,
I'll go ahead and tackle
yeah,
Indian Man. We'll
okay.
ask. Well, as big of a Mask fan as I was, this set was one set I never had. I had to leave all my Mask stuff behind when I moved. Um, though I was way over 21, but still I had all my Mask items. I would have loved to have had some of these items, and I know I'm like you. I have collections that have magically disappeared in its lifetime with the moves. But yeah, you can be like Jason and just go out and recollect everything. Um,
It's going to take some dedication, let me tell you.
yeah, it does.
If you want to do it the way I did, and I've mentioned this before on the show, is pretty much become a mask dealer. And, the way I did it, well, I would say go ahead and head to, I think it's MASKast 22, I think we did with Bill,
Yeah,
which is
that's a
basically,
three-part series, I think.
yeah, that was an extensive podcast on collecting and our techniques and how we got some of the rare stuff and so forth. So I would say go to MASKast 22 and check that out. As far as if you're going to try to recollect some of these and don't want to pay, you know, $100 per vehicle on eBay, like some of them go for.
Right.
uh, anyway, one of our frequent viewers and listeners, Von Baskin, he commented, "Whoa! I wish they extended that era," referring to the split second series.
So it sounds
And
like he was very interested in this series.
yeah, well, I think like lots of us were. Got another one here. This person didn't leave his name, just his handle.
Right. Arc ANJ L13. He says, "My feeling, or she, I'm sorry, my feeling is that the seconds or clones are holograms of the driver to pilot the air vehicle as either an attack or distraction element. A cartoon of the series would have been interesting and fun. I really like a previous comment about having a defection from one of the teams or possibly a double agent, kind of like punch counterpunch from the Transformers. They could have a car with shifting panels to change the vehicle from bad to good, as well as the figure. I like that idea.
Yeah.
The Ramp Up and Thunderball are most certainly carryovers from the racing series. A Gloria Baker figure is an interesting one. One can only think she and possibly Shark were slated for the racing series, but was moved to the split seconds and a vehicle changed to go with said change. Unfortunately, maybe Hasbro or a third party will give us a real Shark one day, but I'm sure that topics for another time. Keep up the great work, guys. Love the site, and thank you for that.
Hmm.
We mostly Jason do our best to put a good effort on our site. But these are good. This is good input. I like your thoughts on the shifting panels, going from a good car to a bad car or figure. That's actually a good. That could have been a good cartoon bait, or, to grab us and cling us into that series and keep it going even maybe another year or two for that.
Yeah.
And maybe that's where they were going, but something floundered. We speculated, but who knows?
Yeah. Well, that's what this whole chat was about, speculating.
And we did.
Yeah. Uh,
We
and
finally hit the arbitrator.
yeah, and I'm gonna read this one little paragraph towards the end of his comments, and I do invite everybody to go over there and check it out because he did go
It's very
through it
good, very detailed. I like
very
it.
extensively. But he says towards the end, in my opinion, this series of toys was released hurriedly as an afterthought. There seems to be no rhyme or reason for it, and the poor design of the vehicles, the poor fitting and badly made masks, the underpainted figures, and the total lack of promotion in cartoons or comics indicates, to me anyway, that Kenner was trying to bring a few more dollars out of a concept that had possibly run its course. In spite of this, I would have loved to have seen a fifth wave, whether another split second series, clones for Calhoun and Nash, a return to the old style, or some other concept entirely. Ideally for me, Split Seconds would have been released as a second racing series wave. Stiletto, Wolf Beast, Fire Force, Afterburner, Barracuda, and Skyball all look awesome in their vehicle modes and probably could have been amazing as racing vehicles without the splitting function. Only Vandal and Dynamo are the real turkeys of this line. They don't look great in vehicle mode, and their attack modes are laughable. Detonator may be great in eyes of some, but I think it's fugly. Notice that I don't think enough of that one even to mention in any of the above comments. So, yeah, I mean, he was a little more critical of the series, and I think the best part of Detonator is the paint job. That pink with the green kind of, it's not really flames, but it was interesting anyway. I do like the functionality of it and how it kind of folds down, and I think it becomes like a hovercraft, and then that green four-wheeler or bike or whatever it's supposed to be.
Right.
And I guess that's going along with what he said, is some of them do look a little strange in what they're supposed to be, but the shells, at least, of like the ones he mentioned before, which are the licensed ones, I mean, those are really great. And well, Afterburner was that long dragster too, which was really cool, which would I guess would have fit in with the racing series more than this separate one.
Right.
But I don't know how much you can race cross country with a dragster, but
Not
Uh,
very well. Not on winding roads like Pennsylvania, man. You'd be hitting all types of guardrails and hillsides and everything else.
yeah, yeah. Uh, there's a few more comments over on Facebook. Do you have those up, Wyatt, by
I
chance?
I signed out, but I will pop that up
Okay.
momentarily. But while you're here,
Um,
I wanted to say welcome Adrian Benoit. He's having problems joining us, but he did say that he's enjoying that he. I'm sorry, he's saying that he is watching us, and we welcome. I have the I guess the viewers version up as well. So if you have questions or something, please feel free to
yeah,
post your question there, and we'll get to it there as well. So don't feel like you're disconnected from us.
and he's the arbitrator. He says over here in the Q&A. He's the one
Oh,
that
okay.
left all the posts. So he
Well,
said, feel
great.
free to skip anything
That
you
was a
wish.
great comment. I'm not that was awesome. We welcome that. We welcome that for the episode series as well that we do. But
Yeah.
this is great as well. And so some people aren't interested in the TV show as much as they are the toys. And I have no disrespect at all for that. That's awesome that you like I said, some people have more of a toy fetish or comic book rather than the cartoon, that kind of thing. I'm there. I'm waiting for my computer to wake up.
That's fine. Yeah, and we're
Welcome.
pretty bad about promoting the functionality of Google Hangouts and why we use it. But there's a little Q&A box when you go to the Hangout, and you just click on that, and you can send us a question, and it pops up in our Hangout, and we can select it and answer it as they pile up.
Right, and when you log in, it some of it's like a little tiny window on the left-hand side, like your start menu, like sometimes hides or comes up. So if you move your mouse to the left, you'll see you might see the uh, I'll call it a control panel, if you will, where it says chat. You'll eventually see a Q&A. So that's how you can get a hold of us directly. As far as this Hangout, we also have, like I said, the viewer side of things, which is more like a haphazard Facebook type of style that has comments. But I am in our Facebook, and I see one comment from Lindsay West, and she says split seconds was bleep, 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 bleep. I don't have the beeper button, but it was horse something, horse crap. I'll use that more. So
I missed that one.
yeah,
That
that
must have been one of the other, maybe when I posted one of the pictures. But
oh, this is on the opinions of the racing or split seconds. My
oh
apologies.
yeah, I did put up a poll about that. Which did you like better, the racing or split seconds? And
So let me go down a little further for the series. There's no comments for that directly, but
I think the racing series pretty much blew it out of the water on that poll. I have to check
yeah,
the
most people
results.
are saying racing series. It looks like on here. Brandon Collins.
If you scroll down to, this is the wonders of live, a live chat. But if you scroll down, the original post I did, the blog post for the split seconds, is where there's Peter's comment that we talked about before,
I see it now.
and then there's a couple more down below that. I wanted to give
Yeah,
those
see
guys a
Paul.
shout out.
Yeah, Paul Williams says Dynamo was probably the worst one, but if Thunderball or Ramp Up were produced, they would clearly be the worst. Let me
I think that's
see.
pretty much agreeable.
Peter comment on that. Then there was a Robert Granani. I apologize that I probably butchered that up. It says, although the completionist in me would love Thunderball and Ramp Up, I do agree they were the worst. Ramp Up, hands down, wooden spoon winner. Nice one.
And
I like.
then Paul commented again, Paul Williams, I remember as a kid reading the comics and watching the cartoons, but then being totally surprised when I saw these in the shop. Maybe I don't remember correctly, but I remember being amazed seeing the Julio Lopez car with the clone that I just had to buy it with my birthday money. So, I mean, that was, he's talking about the point that I was trying to get at too with no advertising and stuff. It was like, I'm sure there was instances like this where kids showed up and, oh, they got new M.A.S.K stuff out, and what's this all about? It's just kind of that, in the 80s, there was pretty much free reign for you to advertise however you wanted to.
Right.
It was in the early 80s when President Reagan signed the law or whatever that you could essentially connect the cartoons with the toys, and the toys and the cartoons could essentially be one big toy commercial if you wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
And there was no repercussions about that, and that's how, for the longest time in the afternoons. Well, we still did, I guess, after that, but we had the reruns of like Tom and Jerry and some of the other
Looney
Looney
Tunes, Woody
Tunes.
Woodpecker, yeah.
Yeah, because they weren't allowed to do much of anything else in the afternoon, and then after that was signed into law, then I remember racing home from the bus to watch G.I. Joe and Transformers in the afternoon. So it all kind of changed. So it's just strange that they had no budget, or they didn't put any effort into advertising split seconds. So let's see. You got Justin's comment there?
Yeah, it says, sorry, but I never saw these ones. My hometown of Riverton, Wyoming, only had 4 stores where M.A.S.K was sold. Then in the mall in Casper, Wyoming, had a larger selection, but never saw this lineup. How and where could I not only see them, but see and view the entire M.A.S.K collection? My younger brothers and I had about 25 different vehicles and all accessories, but they were all stolen in 1991.
Bummer.
Yeah, really. Um, I I just seen Boulder Hill about a month ago in a comic book 80s toy shop. That was cool, but they want $100 for it. If it's complete, that's probably all worth it right there.
Well, yeah, I've seen them go for more if they come with the box and they're complete.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, they're not cheap. They are not cheap. I've actually been tempted to sell back my split seconds
Oh
and my
yeah.
racing ones. Um, I don't know. Like this guy saying, I never connected with them, and then when I got all crazy and went collecting, I was just trying to get my hands on as many as I could, and they're cool and everything, but I don't know. I'm getting to the point now where maybe I just want to keep the ones that I revere more, which are the ones from the season 1 cartoon.
Right.
The first couple toy lines. So I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I'll get rid of them someday and make a ton of money to
Maybe.
I don't know, to buy something. And I'm into action figures lately, so
Might be where the money goes.
Sell and feed. I mean, that's what I did when I first started collecting again. I sold all my GI Joes except for my Sky Striker. I still have that, and the Ace figure. That's the only thing left from my original collection. I sold all my GoBots, which I kind of regret now.
Yeah, because that was
I
like one
had
of your
the
favorites.
I had the command center, which still actually worked. That had a little buzzer you click, and the face on the robot would light up. And I had maybe, I don't know, half a dozen of those. I did find the train one. I want to say his name was Loco. He's one of the bad guys, and it was in a bin of Matchbox cars.
Nice.
So I still have that one. He's the only one I have left. And I also I had some Rambo stuff. I had the Rambo helicopter.
Oh yeah, that's right. You did.
I had the figure with he had the rocket launcher that shot out.
Yeah.
Just this year, the folks at NECA, who have their action figures are awesome. And I don't know if it's for Comic-Con, San Diego, the main Comic-Con this year, that they're going to sell it, but I've seen it online. I'm sure they're going to be available in stores and stuff, but they made a Rambo figure, and it ticked me off because they teased it on the packaging, that red rocket launcher,
right.
That was classic, that it doesn't come with it. It comes with a bunch of accessories, and it looks great. I mean, it's really detailed and very well articulated,
right,
than the old figure. But I was like, oh man, you gotta have that rocket launcher in there, because that was
part of it. Yeah.
But yeah, I sold all that, so I'm stuck with
M.A.S.K.
I'm stuck. Well, I'm not stuck with M.A.S.K, but I have a few odds and ends here. I found a Murdoch figure that's missing an arm.
Really?
So I have a one-armed Murdoch. That's anything left from my 18 collection, which wasn't much. I think I had Murdoch and I had BA, because BA he came with a toolkit. He came with like a toolbox and like
I do remember your BA. I don't remember Murdoch.
I had Murdoch. I don't remember what Murdoch came with, some machine guns or something. And then I wish I could find it. I'm sure my dad is garage sales long ago. It was gone, but I had the 18 van. It was the Ertl die-cast 18 van, and it was pretty big. It was still small for the figures, because I had to open up the sliding door and just shove them in the back. And it had a fake BA that drove it. It was just he was all brown. Wasn't detailed, and it was just a torso, and he was in the driver's seat. I don't know how I can remember this stuff, but the seats rotated, like in the
on the series,
van,
yeah.
The front seat there, and I love that thing. It's probably beat the hell if it still exists somewhere. But man, that was so much fun. I played so much with that. So lately I've gone back to action figures of all kinds, mainly from China. I go on eBay now, and there's a ton of China sellers. And if you're lucky enough, like I have been, and can wait 2-3 weeks to get what you pay for, you can get it for dirt cheap. And I've collected some Indiana Jones figures. I got just the other day, I got some knockoff Lego Ghostbusters figures. And I know you probably have seen it, but I have my boys did the Pinewood Derby this year, and we did cars, and I made an Ecto 1 Pinewood Derby car. So I shared it on Facebook with all my friends. I was like, this is how you not spend $55 at Toys R Us for the Lego set. And I had my Pinewood Derby Ecto 1, and then all the 4 little knockoff Ghostbusters Lego figures.
Nice.
Oh, Toys R Us, you're the. Oh. This is the thing with Toys R Us. All right, we're way off track here, but so I had my eyes on the Lego Kuso set, which is now Lego Ideas, where they, people build something and you vote, and it could become an actual set.
Right.
Well, they pushed Ghostbusters Ecto 1 through with the 4 minifigures. I was like, yes, this is going to be awesome. And I was lucky enough to get the Back to the Future set. I still have that. Really cool. So I was like, all right, I'm going to wait for a little sale or something, and I'm going to go get the Ghostbuster set. It's $50. They want $50 for it, which is a little steep. I think Back to the Future went for 40, but licensing and I'm sure all that is included in that. So $50. I'm like, all right, come on, man. Every time we go to Toys R Us, I'm like, come on, man, give me a sale, give me something, give me an excuse to get it. And finally, I earned enough rewards to get a $10 gift coupon. Okay, so I'm down to 40. I can maybe justify that. So I go into Toys R Us this is a couple weeks ago after I got the $10 voucher. They had upped it to $55.
Oh,
It's now $55 if you go online, if you go in the store. I don't know why they had to up it. I think it's because it just was recently announced that they're done producing them. So what you got in the stores is what you got. And there's like 4 or 5 left in my store, which I'm hoping they'll put on clearance. But I was like, all right, screw you, Toys R Us. And I went out and I've got this Lego knockoffs from China. They're actually pretty cool. They're pretty well done. They have like different names.
of course.
It's not like, it's not like Winston. It's like one stone or something, it's just they changed the name. Anyway, the life and times of collecting action figures and toys.
And as you can tell, agents, this is live and unscripted. So this is what
is not one of our normal MASKasts.
No, but this was good though. Getting back on the whatever train track we were on, this has been a good series. I mean, discussion brought back memories and collecting rabbit trails, but still, this is good, and it does tie in because, like Justin here, he was looking about collecting, or at least perhaps looking at buying a Boulder Hill and such. Let's get to a couple more comments, and then I think we can say la vie. Philip Gibson quoted or says in a split second, air quotes, the M.A.S.K franchise became one with its fans' hearts and minds for the split second series. And then there's a few more if you scroll up a little bit on the refeed of our announcement or when we change the date.
Yeah, go ahead. I've actually closed out. So
okay.
You can go for it.
So Dennis Arkell he says, I had Afterburner top fuel dragster vehicle. When I played with it, I just pretended Dusty flew the jet and controlled the missile turret remotely, kind of like Ace Riker and Meteor. I pretended new Backlash was like old Backlash and made sonic booms, which was
that
cool.
Works.
A couple comments, and then Shirley Burton comments. She says, I never did get one of these guys, unfortunately. And it's like she was disappointed in not being able to collect any of the split seconds series. I think that wraps up all the comments. I'm not seeing any more elsewhere, but this was a good discussion. I like this, even if it was just us speculating a good portion of it. This was a good discussion, and then that leads us on to, I guess, our next MASKast.
Yeah, I don't know if it's going to be. I'm actually going out of town this coming weekend, but I have watched the episode and made a few notes. But I need to go through and get all my notes down. And we are up to, I think it's episode 38, aren't we?
We are.
Curse of Solomon's Gorge. Yes. And this plot basically revolves around M.A.S.K going to Africa to stop Venom, who has discovered, or was trying to discover, King Solomon's treasure. And it's interesting. Have you watched the episode yet?
Not yet. I've been a little too busy to watch it. I
Yeah,
need to. I'm hoping I can get to it this week.
I was a little confused at first because the natives, they were calling it Soluma or something like that. And I won't get too much into it, but I knew the name of at least the episode name, I thought was Solomon. And it took pretty much through the entire episode to figure out, for Matt to figure out that they were actually referring to King Solomon. It was a little confusing, but when you first watched it or whatever. But interesting episode. We're getting close to wrapping up our season 4 of MASKast here, episodes 31 to 40. We've got a few more to go, and then we're past halfway through the entire series. So
We are.
It's been a fun journey, and we will hopefully keep pushing on. And we had a goal. I don't remember what our goal was to get through this year. I think through episode 50, if I'm remembering correctly, at least.
Right.
Just to kind of keep our reviews. We had gone through a point there where we had lulled, and we're getting out an episode every, I don't know, couple of months. It seemed like that for a while. And I don't know, seems like the summertime we would have more free time, but not this year. This year's been
busy.
kind of busy, and you're out of town or I'm out of town, and trying to connect during the summertime. It hasn't been too successful, but I think we'll get on the right track here this month, and push forward and try to get through episode 50 before the end of the year, and then we'll be 3/4 of the way through.
That'd be awesome.
Or two, yeah. My math is not working tonight. 50 and 75, yeah. So, third of the way through. 2/3. Anyway, well, I think my voice is about done for tonight. We do appreciate everybody that's tuned in and watched. I think I counted at least 5 people have tuned in at several points during the show, and we definitely appreciate you making time for us. And if it's just to stop by and say hello and pop a question in, that's fine as well. You don't have to stick around for the whole hour and a half, I guess we've been about going in these recording sessions. So we do appreciate everybody tuning in, and all the comments was great this time. I'm still trying to put out new content as it kind of trickles into my stream. I found that did you see the post I put up? I think it was just yesterday, of that Mexican comic book that
I haven't read it yet, but I saw the post. Yeah,
that was crazy. I've actually got I connected with a guy that has these scanned, and there's 2 in his collection at least that feature M.A.S.K on the cover, and I posted the first one up there the other day. And of course, I speak Spanglish, very, very little Spanish. So I didn't and Google Translator sucks. So I didn't bother going through and, trying to translate it, but it's very funny that they essentially it's pretty well drawn. They just changed the color schemes on
Really?
pretty much everybody. So if you look on the cover, you got a nice shot of Thunderhawk and Switchblade, and Matt is jumping out of Thunderhawk, but he looks like he's Brusato. He's got the same color scheme, even though it's got this, the Spectrum flight suit pattern. It's Bruce's orange and blue
Really? Huh.
trim, so it's interesting that, M.A.S.K. I know M.A.S.K. I don't know if they had a release in Mexico. I know there's some knockoffs or whatever from Argentina. And I believe, was it Indonesia? One of the Asian, southeastern or southeastern countries in Asia that had some kind of knockoffs, like they did for several lines, and M.A.S.K. was one of them. But I'm not sure if Mexico had that much of a following or whatever, but apparently enough that this magazine thought it was would be funny to parody, M.A.S.K. And this magazine or this comic is just kind of like the Mexican version of Mad, or back in the day there was Cracked, and there was another one that was just, they basically made fun of whatever was popular, So I'm trying to, I'm still trying to, come up with some new content and stuff. So we invite everybody to head on over there, connect with our RSS feed or whatever to keep it coming in when we do post, and all of our podcasts and episode reviews and such kind of feed through the website, and that's where we get all of our comments and such. So keep on keeping on.
That's right. Well, this was a great time, and thank you for coming up with the idea again, Jason. And I guess that wraps it up. So until next time, I'm Jason what am I doing? Club up. I'm Jason. What am I doing? Holy crap. That's too late. Too late. That's Jason over there. I'm Wyatt over here. And thanks for listening to and watching MASKast Chat.